Hi, I'm Jon Robinson, one half of John and Mark, CEO and co-founder of RR Digital, legal growth marketing agency. Today, we're going to be talking about how AI works. This is a legal marketer's intro to LLMs, or large language models. We're going to tell you exactly what you need to know as a legal marketer. All right. Today, I want to break down how AI actually works and, more importantly, what that means for legal marketers. There's a lot of noise about LLMs, ChatGPT, AI search, all of it. But if you understand just a few fundamentals, you immediately understand why we do digital PR, why we structure content the way we do, why unique content matters, why firms who ignore this are going to get buried. Let's start with LLMs in plain English. LLMs, things like ChatGPT or Gemini, are not actually search engines. They're giant pattern recognition machines trained on massive amounts of text. They're not looking up answers. They're predicting the next word based on everything they've learned. And that really matters for legal marketers because the model can only predict based on the text it has actually seen. Is your firm's information barely existing online? It gets guessed, not actually represented. Let's talk about why training data volume matters for your firm. These LLM models get better the more text they're actually trained on. So if your competitors create more high-quality content, get more PR, publish more case results, are mentioned more across the web, they become statistically more real in the model's eyes. This is why digital PR still matters, and this is why brand visibility matters. This is why we push firms to publish content consistently and everywhere. Because if you don't give AI enough evidence of who you are, it will wind up stitching together its own version based on everyone else's content and what the world is saying about you. You really need to control the narrative. If you don't say something about you, someone else will, and AI is going to grab that and use that potentially in its responses. AI doesn't necessarily understand you, so you really do need to be explicit. LLMs mimic human language, but they don't necessarily understand you or the user or what your firm does. It's making inferences, so your content needs to be extremely explicit. Not clever, not implied, not talking around the reality, not buried inside long paragraphs. This is why we use a concept called content chunking. This is why we build Q&A sections or FAQs. This is why practice area pages need structure, clarity, depth, and unique information that is not just something that's replicated from someone else's website elsewhere on the internet. AI is reading your site and trying to map entities or concepts, if you will. And if the information is disorganized or unclear at all, it winds up getting misrepresented. A lack of clarity or ambiguity means that you won't be a confident answer to return to the user, and the LLM may just choose something else or someone else to mention. Let's talk a bit about how LLMs build an internal map of your brand. These models basically compress the entire internet into a mathematical three-dimensional space, where related ideas sit closer together and unrelated ideas sit farther apart. If your DUI content or your truck accident content or your car accident content, attorney bios are all mixed together without proper structure, the model can't really understand or map those concepts correctly. But when your content is cleanly organized, appropriately chunked, clearly labeled, interlinked to each other appropriately, the model can understand a more accurate internal representation of your firm. This is why headers matter, internal links matter, schema markup matters, separate, well-defined practice area pages matter. Technical SEO isn't dead. It's more important than ever. LLMs are good at some things, and they are not good at other things. Let's talk about what they're actually good at, or what they're great at. LLMs are great at summarizing things. AI will summarize your firm whether you prepare for it or not. So you really need to do the best that you can to control the narrative. If your content is thin, generic, or some other type of AI-generated slop, the model will give a thin, generic summary, or it will look elsewhere for answers. If your content is deep, specific, authoritative, trustworthy, giving examples, the model will summarize you with authority. And this is why unique, expert-driven content really does matter. Not because Google said so. We're not dating back just to old SEO truths, but the reality is AI can only extract what actually exists. And this isn't just what's on your website. It's literally everything on the internet that mentions your firm, your attorneys, yourself, any other entity that relates to you. We're going to move on to what LLMs are bad at and why authority matters even more. LLMs truly struggle with nuance. rare scenarios, and more importantly, current events. Sound familiar? That's literally the legal world. If your site doesn't explain complex concepts accurately and clearly, AI will wind up filling in the gaps with generalized or even worse, incorrect, wrong information. This is why you need updated verdicts, updated practice area pages, clear explanations of law changes, real examples, real commentary, real people, videos, copy, images, graphs, charts, data. The more ambiguity you have, the more hallucinations you get. We're going to get technical for a second, and we're going to talk about RAG, what it is, and why it changes everything for legal marketing from an AI perspective. This is a huge piece of AI search and AI prompt responses. RAG, R-A-G, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. I'm going to try to simplify this as much as possible. Normal LLMs, so ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, they answer questions from memory. They aren't necessarily looking anything up like a search engine would. They're just predicting the next word based on what they've learned from the internet months or years ago in their training data. However, RAG really changes that completely because with RAG, before the AI answers your question, it may go out and actually retrieve real documents and websites from the live internet, pull in relevant text, and then use that information to generate the final answer. This happens more often from what we've seen with things that are more timely or current or require more background information in order to truly provide a real answer versus common knowledge that may already be in its training data set. Basically, RAG is AI with receipts. It's grounding its response in real sources instead of guessing. And this is why it really matters. For you as a legal marketer, if AI is retrieving live information from the web, be it your website, your articles, your social media, your PR, your directory listings, then the accuracy of the AI's answer depends entirely on the quality of the content you've published. So if your content is thin or outdated or buried in unclear layouts or inconsistent or duplicated across multiple pages, inaccurate, or worse, missing entirely, AI won't retrieve the right information about your firm. It's going out with RAG and pulling that information in real time. It's why we're able to see quicker changes in AI prompt responses than we would be with traditional search. If your competitors publish better, clearer, or more structured content, then the large language models may use their version of reality versus yours. Let's talk about why traditional SEO still matters. There's this narrative floating around that SEO is dead because of AI. You may have watched our videos before and heard me talk about SEO plus. SEO is not going away. SEO is the thing that makes AI possible. If Google can't crawl your site, LLMs can't learn from it. If your content isn't indexable, it disappears from potential training data sets. It is not available through RAG. Technical SEO, site structure, internal linking, all of this influences how AI perceives your firm. Different AI models use different methods to access search engines. Obviously, Gemini is owned by Google and has direct access to Google search data, but other AI models may use their own crawlers to understand the web, or they may license data from a third party, such as arrangements with Microsoft for Bing access, etc. Popularity and frequency of occurrence are now ranking signals for AI. That's actually a misnomer. Let me clear this up. There are no ranking signals. There is no ranking in AI. There's just LLMs understanding or not different entities and then predicting responses to the prompts that they are given. LLMs treat frequency as really a proxy for reality. So if your brand or your attorneys, your case types and practice areas, your case results aren't mentioned online enough times across credible sources, then the model essentially treats you as statistically insignificant. And this is why we so heavily push digital PR. It used to be that we talked about link building. Link building is a component of digital PR. It now just means that you don't necessarily just need a link in order to influence what these LLMs may know about you or your firm. You also need to think about interviews, social media mentions, guest appearances, legal directories, local press, consistent content publishing anywhere on the internet. AI rewards the firms that are famous. AI rewards the firms that are everywhere. You need to make sure that your perception in the eyes of a potential claimant is the perception that you want. But first and foremost, you're not even in the conversation unless you are present in as many places as you could possibly be that are relevant. So let's talk about the action plan for legal marketers. Here's the roadmap if you want AI to represent your firm accurately. Publish deep, structured content for every practice area. No AI fluff. Create explicit branded FAQs and details about your firm specific as possible. Use content chunking and clean headers. Invest in digital PR and get cited everywhere. If you can get backlinks, even better, but the citations themselves and the mentions of your entities, your firm, your people, those count. You need to produce unique content, not just generic filler. The generic filler is likely already in the trading data set, and you will likely not be mentioned. The more unique your content is and highly citable and referenceable it is, the more likely you're going to get mentioned. Keep your technical SEO clean and crawlable. Those are just table stakes for traditional SEO, which is also important. Update your case results, your verdicts, your practice areas, any information that you have as often as possible, because this information is retrieved in real time. Things that are more current are likely to be more cited. The firms who do these things will shape the AI-generated narrative, and the firms who don't, AI will wind up writing the story for them. AI is not replacing legal marketers. This is very important. It's just changing what effective marketing looks like. If you understand how these large language models learn, you can use that to your advantage. And if you ignore it, you get left behind. If you have any questions about AI for your law firm, please reach out. I look forward to talking to you soon. Check out some more of our videos, subscribe to get alerts when we post new content, and I will see you soon.